there, Mr. Rapoport. So, with Brady hanging him up, we think, we know he's done. He's done. This obviously, or maybe not so obviously, but to me it's obvious, complicates certainly the Jets world because you know that they want Rodgers. They're going to make a play for him. But with Brady seemingly a target for the Raiders, now he's off the table. Maybe the Raiders go hard at Rodgers. What does Brady's retirement mean to the other teams chasing top-level quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, first of all of the different quarterback dominoes, I think this was probably the biggest, right? Like, this was the one where you say, like, all right, this happened, now everything else can proceed. And, you know, the timing of these things are always important. Brady announces his retirement on a beach somewhere in a selfie video a couple weeks before the Derek Carr trade basically needs to happen or not. So, you know, there is a possibility that we get Brady news and Derek Carr news basically Super Bowl week or even before Super Bowl week. So one in, one out. And then now, you know, you have teams like the Raiders, maybe the Titans, the 49ers, if they need a veteran quarterback, the Jets. You know, a lot of teams now still need quarterbacks and not that many available. I would say it increases, you know, the need of some of these really, really good guys.
There's no question, and I think you laid out well. But now a little bit more specific because you said that there's a chance that we'll have the Brady and the Carr news before the Super Bowl. I got that. Or right around the Super Bowl, there's a 3-day window for Carr and the Raiders to decide what they're going to do with him. But you said Carr trade. So you're 100% that he'll be dealt, not cut?
I'm not 100%. But I do think it's possible. I do think there's interest. It's a hard trade to do, but it's not impossible. And, you know, what you would basically need to do is you'd need to complete the trade. A team would have to have the cap room around the time of the trade. You would carry him through the start of the league year and then restructure his contract to create cap room on March 15th or 16th or whenever the league year is. Or you do the trade and he restructures his deal now. But either way, there is a path to get it done. You know, it's a big salary, but I don't think it's crazy if you want to start in quarterback. So there is a market for a trade. Also, Carr has a no-trade clause, so it has to be somewhere where he would want to go.
Are you hearing Carolina? Because that's been thrown out there now. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I think Carolina is going to be interested in all of the veteran quarterbacks. Biggest question is, you know, would they do a trade? And I think, you know, their owner is very, very much into value. There is a question, and not just for the Panthers, but for a lot of teams, if there's no trade and the Raiders have to cut him, like, wouldn't it make sense to just wait? And then obviously the answer to that is if there's one team that doesn't want to wait, then you don't get him because that team would trade for him. So that's kind of an interesting dance right now.
Yeah, there is. And it also is complicated by the fact that there's a lot of teams, BT and I were identifying this, that have quarterback issues. And Baltimore is one, the Giants are another, simply Seattle also, simply because their starting quarterbacks are unrestricted free agents. So until that they're not, then you have to consider them in this conversation. But when we go look at the free agent, put that in quotes, free agent quarterbacks, there's not a ton of great names. And so all day we've been talking about how timing has benefited Daniel Jones, right? Is a free agent, unless they franchise him, he should get a lot of demand. Do you agree?
I think he would definitely get some demand. You know, he's interesting because I think his value to the Giants is great. I think he is a very good quarterback who's just kind of reaching a point where, you know, you can sort of see the potential is playing out. But I don't know that anyone gets it. I mean, it was interesting to me that Joe Shane, who's in Mobile with me and everyone else this week, talked about having Saquon extension talks. Those are really important because if Saquon can somehow get done before the franchise tag deadline, then you could tag Daniel Jones and none of this matters. And I would, you know, say the same thing for talk about Geno Smith, who definitely should come back to the Jets because that would be an amazing storyline.
Oh, boy.
Geno Smith, you know, probably gets tagged or gets a deal. It's not a great free agent quarterback crop. It's actually better than it has been in recent memory because these guys are never available.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right. But there's not a ton of them that you're looking at and saying he's leading my team for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, right? Jacoby Brissett's not that guy. Andy Dalton's not that guy. You know, obviously, Tom, you know, left. Jimmy Garoppolo's not that guy. Baker's not that guy. Sam Darnold.
Well, no, but you know, Jimmy Garoppolo might be someone for 3 years. You know, and that's I think.
Yeah, but do you
significant now?
Yeah, do you think teams are excited by that though? That's what we're getting at. Like you want an exciting guy, and I know that Jimmy is Jimmy, and he's cool as hell, and when he's right, he's right. But there's a lot of times where he's not even available.
Well, I mean, you're sort of illustrating the problem here. It's like, and that's why I think that Derek Carr this year played okay, probably not as good as we've seen in the past. He was also kind of injured for this year for some of it. He had like an oblique thing that was really painful. Guys like Derek Carr are almost never available, right? And Garoppolo is going to be available, is a free agent, doesn't cost any draft picks, but his team moved on from him.
Yeah,
willingly. Kind of twice.
Willingly,
really. Yeah.
And yesterday, Kyle Shanahan was like, he's not coming back. There's no serious
Hilariously, he said last year. But yes, I know what you mean.
That's true.
But yes, so guys like Garoppolo are available because their team moved on from him. So that's sort of the level of quarterback you can get.
So, Ian, we had you on the show as we have all football season. We had you last week, right? And we asked about Rodgers. That's when it was starting to really pick up some steam. And I was giddy, and I still believe he'll be a Jet. You're coming at it from a different angle. You're a reporter. I'm not. I don't consider myself a reporter. I never have. But I am curious, are you more or less convinced that Rodgers will be a Jet after you've had a week to let it marinate? He jumped back on the McAfee show. Any change?
Well, I would say this. When I came on last week, I talked about all the different challenges that it would take. And I still believe there are significant challenges. Like, if Aaron Rodgers, let's just say, doesn't want to play for the Jets, it's not happening. I have to look at this. I don't think he has a no-trade clause. It doesn't matter if he has a no-trade clause or not. Because if he doesn't want to play from the Jets, he's not going. He'll just say, cool, I'll retire, and then that's the ball game.
Yep.
So there's still a lot of hoops. This is not a it's this for a first-round pick. All right, cool, do the trade, you're done. It's a lot of money. Now, I look back on that Woody Johnson comment at the end of the year, which seemed weird at the time. We're willing to spend for a quarterback, and I'm like, okay, you'll spend $30 million for Jimmy Garoppolo. That's great. Like, congratulations. But Rodgers is making $60. You sort of wonder if and I don't know this, but you wonder if that was in his head. I think a trade is at least a possibility. It's not a non-starter. I wouldn't say like, all right, I'm hearing he's going to the Jets, but at least it is something that you guys won't waste your breath on talking about for the next however many weeks.
True, but that's why it becomes really complicated. I mean, it's viable, so it's a worthy conversation. But if he doesn't want to come here, and the Jets are playing the long game and waiting, and then somebody swoops in and gets Carr, and you're not enamored with Garoppolo, and the Giants retain Jones, and you're lukewarm on Tannehill, where do the Jets go?
Yep, that's it.
That's the problem.
You're right. It's a problem, and that's why, I think Joe Douglas is good at his job for a couple different reasons, but I believe that they will probably be able to get the info on Rodgers, if that's even a possibility, fairly early. Like, I don't think it's going to be like, all right, it's March 14th.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Rodgers. So, getting key info is going to be really important here, just to know, what are we talking about? Is this real or not?
I think they already have some, Ian. I think they already have some.
I'm sure they have some, but they don't have it all because Rodgers doesn't have it all and Green Bay doesn't have it all.
Unless Rodgers just hasn't divulged it on the McAfee. Maybe he knows. Honestly.
Maybe.
Maybe he told Hackett. Maybe he told Hackett, hey, I'm coming. I'm playing.
Maybe. Now, I do think that a trade to a team like the Jets would be something that the Packers would probably like because it's out of the conference. Hard for me to imagine the Packers are going to then, trade Rodgers to, I don't know, let's pick a team, the Saints.
Yeah.
Right? And then face him in the playoffs and
it doesn't make
would
any
have a
sense.
hard time imagining
that.
Send
him to the AFC. Makes the most sense.
Right. Send him to the lowly Jets.
At least it makes sense.
We'll
at least it makes a little bit more sense.
Non-threatening.
Let me get to some coaching news here for a second. Jim Irsay seems to be mismanaging his organization. It seems grossly. It's like 7 candidates he now has. They're talking about second interviews for most of these, including Wink Martindale, but also he's going to go into a third round. In back of my mind, I can't help but think he's throwing smoke and mirrors. He's putting up a facade. He's going to hire Jeff Saturday. How badly are they managing this coaching search?
That's a lot of the talk here in Mobile. It's either a badly mismanaged coaching search or the most thorough coaching search we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's right. I mean, I've done this for 12 years, I think now, and I have no idea whether he's doing a great thing or a ridiculous thing. And that's what makes it so interesting. Now, could you know after one interview who your guy is? Like, you could make an argument you probably should.
Yeah.
And I know there's some people who think that Chris Ballard is just lining up candidate after candidate, so Irsay realizes, like, all right, we got to hire someone better than Jeff Saturday. Like, I think that's what a lot of people think. But he is the owner, and the owner does get to pick. So I would say this. I truly don't know, is this the best coaching search ever or the worst?
What's your gut tell you?
My gut tells me it probably doesn't matter to go. Like, you don't have to go through a third round of interviews. Like, to me, if it were me, you probably should know after the first hour or two. But if this makes him feel better, like, I don't know, like, it's not me going through those grueling interview processes, which thank God, because it sounds like they've been marathons. If I was a candidate and I was awaiting all that money, but they forced me to go through 3 interviews, I guess I would do it, but I'd be a little grumpy about it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I might as well stay where I am, especially if I was in a good situation already. What about Arizona? It's kind of quiet out in Arizona.
Yeah, so they're interviewing Brian Callahan, the Bengals OC, today. They interviewed Lou Anarumo, the DC, yesterday, and then Mike Kafka on Tuesday. I think I got my days right on Tuesday. Sounded like he did well. He's very young, and I think he's really, really on the rise. Would be a little early to get a head coaching job. I'm not saying it's impossible, but would probably be a little early.
No, we don't want him to. We don't want him to.
Got to keep him with Dan.
Right, why would you?
Exactly. He needs to stay here.
Right. Now, I do hear that the QB coach is really good. Shea Tierney, I believe his name is. I hear really good things, too. And that's someone that Dayball's been grooming forever.
Yeah.
So
he's following him around. I think he started with him in Alabama, actually. So he's been following him around for a while.
Yes, I think that is right.
It's my cousin. You don't know that's my cousin. I mean, you laugh. It's my cousin.
That is not your cousin.
It is. It's my cousin.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
By Irish heritage, maybe.
Just kidding.
Try to get some Shea Tierney scoop from you.
I heard he's good.
But so the options are today. It's either basically get through today and then hire the best guy, or don't. And if the answer is don't, then they probably wait till after the Super Bowl and interview someone like Jonathan Gannon from the Eagles or Shane Steichen. So it's decision time for the Cardinals, and it's really either hire or just take a step back and force us through this torture for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, they're a mess. Who cares? I don't even care about the Cardinals anymore. Ian, great stuff.
Thank you, man.
Really good intel. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.